I'm Michael Dorf. I started a club in New York called the Knitting Factory in 1987, and I actually started it kind of by default because I was managing a rock band called Swamp Thing and trying to get them gigs in New York, and it was getting kind of hard. So it was a lot easier for me to build a club and put them in there to play than it was actually getting them gigs. I started as their manager back in Wisconsin, where I'm from. I went to college in the Midwest and grew up in Milwaukee and loved music, but I suck as a musician. My friends were really good, so I always became the guy, you know, behind the soundboard and behind the lighting and trying to get them gigs. So I was always the man behind the scene, actually starting as a kid, 13. Moved to New York and I'm putting posters up and I'm trying to get them work, and then started this club called the Knitting Factory. And again, people started coming like crazy to perform, and we're selling tea and coffee, and then we got a liquor license. The next thing you know, we're actually an important music venue in Manhattan. That was in 1987. It's crazy to me that it was so long ago. And it grew, and the Knitting Factory became really well known. We ended up opening one in Los Angeles in 1999, which was really cool, and we were doing a lot of stuff with a record company and the .com world, and the business grew and became a real monster for a little bit. In 2003, I decided I needed to start doing something a little more with my life. You know, my hair was going, and I had kids, and that was post 9/11, and I was like, I want to do something a little more meaningful. So I started thinking about doing a performing arts center on the Trade Tower site, actually. And that's what actually got me out of the Knitting Factory, and I was calling that a downtown Carnegie Hall with a great wine list, because it was very clear to me that connecting wine and kind of a higher end luxury experience to music was where I really wanted to go. And then at the same time, I got a chance to make a barrel of wine with some friends in California, a winemaker from Ridge Winery named David Tate. And I had so much fun making a barrel of wine and participating in it, learning about it, that I thought, you know what, to hell with the music business, I want to be a winemaker. But I couldn't convince my family, and actually it was probably a smart decision for me to not, you know, start working in the garden, you know, because I don't have a green thumb and not a musician either. But as a fan, I was like, what do I do to combine winemaking and the music world and do it in Manhattan? And so out of that came the business plan of City Winery. And, you know, of course, with my luck, we opened, and the first grapes showed up in New York in October of 2008, the same week that Lehman Brothers blew up, and it was the financial Armageddon in Wall Street. And so that was not the single greatest timing of any business decision in the world. But through, I guess, some perseverance and luck and pushing it, City Winery blossomed in New York and really became the listening room for a 300-seat venue in Manhattan. And then connecting the idea of a high-end wine and food culture with that, really became clear that there was a need for this combination to create the luxury, if you will, concert experience. The winemaking is I like to say sometimes our theme, or the golf course for condominium development. You know, so there's all this activity around the winemaking, and that gives it a really cool vibe, especially in the middle of an urban setting. And we get to be the only winery in the city. So we're the only one in New York, we're the only one in Nashville now that is actually making wine. But these cities, these urban environments, are really crappy to grow grapes. The French have this expression called terroir, which is grapes need a certain amount of light and soil, the right soil. And Manhattan, downtown Nashville, downtown Chicago, Boston, Toronto, London, wherever we maybe will be, is not the greatest terroir for winemaking. That's in California and Oregon and Washington State, and there are pockets, you know, in every state, but not in the middle of the city. So what makes us unique is bringing grapes in from some of the best wine regions and actually crushing, fermenting, and developing great wine in the middle of the city. And that's our theme. And we take that part